I don't think I faded this one out. I think it's just a hard cut. Let's just see. No, I faded it out. Okay, a little fade out there.
Fade out.
Hey, everybody. Welcome into Bridging Civil Tension. This is the show where Phil Wallace, author, entrepreneur, coach, mentor, all around good guy, and myself, Kent, I'm the founder here at DDOE 216, and coach, father, you're a father. We should always lead with that. And this is where we step on a bridge, and we feel it's better to build a bridge than to blow it up. Let's talk about things. Let's not get upset. And we tend to really bring things into light that people want to argue about all the time and fight about and raise their voice and get mad. And we just say, hey, let's talk about it on the bridge. Let's not blow this up, and let's just move forward. If you don't like it, each go the opposite way,
right?
But leave the bridge there. You might need it for later, right? And of course, for the last couple years, you've been playing the African American part on the show. We're gonna stay there this week.
I got that down pretty good.
Okay, he's staying there, and I've been playing, the old white guy on the show, and I'm gonna stay in that lane.
Nailed it
this week. So here we go. All right. So, hey, good morning, Scott. Jan, good morning. SG3, Sale, good morning. Of course, one of the rejects. You can find him on Reject Rundown on Sundays at 9 p.m. right here. You can find him a lot of times filling in too on, let me tell you something, brother. Guy is awesome. So SG3, good to have you with us.
Dude,
and Jan, of course, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for being with us. And Scott, you're beautiful too, as well. So the title today is, it's hard to find solutions when you're being drowned with problems, right. Waterboarded sometimes, right? So you have an article here,
right?
And I just, I want y'all to just kind of listen to this and just let it soak in a little bit.
Okay, so an online search with Black ranchers in El Paso County. So there was a couple, they were married couple in Colorado.
Yeah.
Nicole and Courtney Mallory on their 640-acre ranch, which is huge.
That's a lot of land.
Property.
I love it.
Right outside of Colorado Springs. They've been having attacks by neighbors, KKK signs, animals mutilated.
Yeah.
Property vandalized. And actually, when they called the police, guess who was arrested?
What?
So when they called...
Wait, what?
So when they called the police...
So they called the police because stuff is vandalized on their property.
So on February 6th, after months of the Mallorys and their neighbors filing complaints against each other, the Mallorys were arrested.
Interesting.
So I called the police because you mutilated my cows and my goats, and when the cops get there, I'm the one that's arrested. And I guess for today's topic, my thing is these are ranchers, right? So my comment was that if you're not afraid of me because I don't have the baggy pants on, I don't have the do-rag, I don't have the baggy shirt, what's the problem? Because a lot of times we hear that, well, it's just because you fit the stereotype or you look like something XYZ, but this dude is in a cowboy hat and Carhartts. That's not really intimidating, not as much, I would think. If we're afraid of people who look like thugs, why would I be afraid of someone who looks like a cowboy?
Right. All right. So here's what I want people to understand what we're talking about, because I want you to put this in perspective, because a lot of us folks in the city don't quite understand what we're talking about here. Okay. So this couple owns a ranch with 640 acres. Okay. I want to put that into perspective for you. Okay. That is 1 square mile, or the equivalent of 484 football fields with end zones. With end zones.
How many?
484 football fields with end zones. Okay, so that means a square mile, you're going a mile this way, and then a mile that way, and then a mile back this way. I mean, that's a big. That's 484 football fields side by side by side by side by side. Right. It's 2,589,966.56 square meters. It's a lot of space. Right. Okay, so it's not like the 400-foot yard that you have, or maybe not even yard, that you have in the city or anywhere around. So that one square mile, you're looking at half of a normal time. I mean, that's right. I mean that puts a lot in there, right? So a better portion. So this means that if I own 640 acres, somebody's going out of their way to do this.
Right.
And then I say, hey, Gary, how are you, from Singapore? Gary says, hey, Phil, good evening. Good evening. So now there's a huge movement in America, to all of our listeners out there, to homestead. Okay. So let's be honest. These people, to get 640 acres of a ranch in Colorado, first of all, you got a little bit of money.
Right.
You're doing okay. And they may have a loan, but that's fine. And you say, hey, we want to go back to the roots of America, and we want to homestead. We want to raise cattle. We want to raise chicken. We want to be off grid, let's say, perhaps. They may have electricity running to the house or whatever. And I'm tending to my 640 acres, my 484 football fields, and raising my cattle and doing my thing. And my property is being damaged. My livestock are being killed. Right. And I call the police, and old Roscoe shows up and goes, get up against the car. Right? I'm tracking this correctly. What?
Dogs being poisoned, animals being gutted, our lives being threatened, people being sent to our home under threat of lynching, hanging, pitchforks, fires. We had a chicken coop set ablaze. So there was a Facebook page that the neighbors of this town were saying, hey, where can we get, what's the legal size for pitchforks, asking for a friend. We should all have car trouble on that road. So the Mallory's, Nicole is the wife. She said that I don't have a neighbor dispute with the neighbor. What I have is a dispute with the police department that's enabling this, right? Because if I can show you screenshots of a Facebook page, created and allowed about people showing up with pitchforks to my home, and I'm the one arrested, that's a problem.
That is a problem.
Now, for those of you who have not been watching the show or didn't see the movie, Black Klansman, as in Colorado Springs, Colorado. That's the movie where the guy black dude actually gets in from the police department, detective, gets into the KKK because of his voice over the phone. Mm-hmm. It's in Colorado Springs. Once they started to find out that there were members of the KKK in certain departments and certain government groups, they shut down the investigation. Oops. So for me to see the Colorado Springs Police Department, or close thereof, is still allowing this type of behavior, why did we pull out of that investigation?
Yeah, and why why is it happening, right? Hey, we saw that movie, Phil.
I am.
All right.
Okay, right. Really awkward. For 3 minorities. The movie gets over. This dude stands up and is like, oh my God, did you see that crap at the end? Blah, blah, blah. And his wife goes,
you should look over your shoulder.
It's me and Sal just like,
Hey, have a good Christmas. All right. And we bring light to this, not to try to, uh, again, put a wedge into things, but if it doesn't just make you upset, right? So here's what I want you to do. Whoever you are, whoever you're listening, and you have a pet, somebody comes into your house and poisons your pet, and then put something out on social media that you are part of a group in, Huntley chat or whatever, right? Whatever it is, right? We love McHenry, whatever the social group is that you're following, and they're like, well, hey, this works good for poisoning a cat. Just found out.
For those of you curious.
And you then, but it happens, right? So when Ashley was a kid, of course, Facebook was kind of coming in. She was in junior high, and they had a cyberbullying thing, and somebody hacked into her Facebook, changed her, and sent some nasty things out to people. So I take it in, and of course, kids are stupid, and one of the girls said, "Oh, I did it," right? So I go in and I talk with the principal, and I go, "What are we going to do?" They go, "We can't do anything." What do you mean you can't do anything? Well, we can't do. I mean, you could call a police. I don't think the police are going to do much. I go, you have a no cyberbullying right here, stealing somebody's identity and putting that stuff out to make it seem like she did.
Right.
Is you don't think that that's part of your cyber? He goes, there's nothing we can do. We don't. I mean, how would we know it's that girl? She said
she's admitting.
She admitted it.
Allegedly.
Right. So it's not just in minorities.
Right.
It's what do we choose? We're going to put things out there to make you feel good, laws, things of that nature. But I'm going to choose which one's going to fit right for you.
I think the other one that's concerning is if there's a threat, they can't necessarily act upon it.
Right.
So you can have a whole group talk about showing up to my house with pitchforks and tiki torches and everything like that. But, they didn't actually do anything yet. Well, when they do, it's going to be too late.
But on the in the same breath, the same group says, praise Allah. And now all of a sudden, the FBI is knocking at your door like, excuse me, we saw the praise Allah. That means you're a terrorist.
If it was buying bomb material versus tiki torches and pitchforks, it's a different protocol.
Yeah,
but it's because this is a terror.
Yep.
And that group isn't in the terrorist group yet.
Yeah.
We haven't made KKK the terrorists.
And so politically speaking, our good friends in Colorado are pretty liberal, right? So this is even a fairly friendly, quote unquote, what we would say, right?
To who?
I'm just saying, right?
To who?
If you were to track the we don't talk politics, but if you were to track voting records, right? African Americans and minorities tend to be more with a D than an R. Right. So this is more of a D area.
Right. But at the same time, historically, if let's say Virginia was a D state, I know Virginia historically is nice to you. I know Alabama might be nice to you.
I get it. So I mean, but what I'm saying is you can't just scream, well, the guy's orange, right? I mean, it's
no, that's not.
So it should be right, and most people there are stoned anyway in Colorado because it's
yeah, but you also who's there and they're far enough off the grid that kind of I guess in theory this doesn't really matter because we're off on the land.
Yeah,
to get away from that.
Yeah, and that's why I scratch my head. I don't understand what's the threat. 484 football fields, and you're doing your own thing. Go get it, bro. Right? Whatever.
So this is the main road. Me and you have to go down this road. Now this is your spot.
Yep.
this is my spot, and then everything over here is me, and you had everything over there. Yeah. But we have to turn onto that same. So I guess that inconvenience.
Somebody, right? That's what that's the vulgarity of it, right?
There's a line in the article of the lady tried to tell the police that she parked her car in front of my house and played "Get Ready for Heaven" like a threat, and Nicole goes, "I don't even own a loudspeaker. I was listening to Sarah Jakes." So she's offended by my sermon. But she could paint the picture. This
correct.
This hoodlum was outside of my house with loudspeakers playing whatever they wanted to, and then it paints the picture for when the police to show up.
And this is part of the word systemic, right? This really ends up being really part of the word systemic, part of the ability to say, nah, you're blowing this. This is a one-off. This is a one-off. Right. But yeah, we see it time and time again. And when the person who says, I'm scared and I need you to protect me, and your response is put cuffs on them and throw them in jail. not the threat. The people who called 911. We have an emergency. Okay, we'll put you in jail. That hurts. Now, with this happening, what is the response of the community? What is the response of your neighbors? Are there people standing up going, hey Jerry, why don't you just stay on your little ranch out here? Right. Or is Jerry terribly maybe jealous or frustrated because maybe Jerry got outbid for that 640 acres, right? I don't know the whole backstory, but I could see that where that would probably I'd be mad at that. So all right, let me call in a favor.
My farm's bigger than yours.
I was just out hanging up my sheets. I happened to never mind. My white linen, right?
Jasper, you want me to wash yours too?
Yeah, right. So and a lot of times, and this is what I'm trying to do myself, right? Is I want context. You know what I mean? We've become a society here in America which is awfully soundbite-ish and bumper stickerish, right? So I don't know, the context. How long has it been happening? A year, right? So it's been happening. How long have they lived there? A year.
Yeah.
Okay. So I you know what I mean?
Right.
And it's hard for me to fathom because I love going out in the woods. We do man camp all the time, and we got 3.5 acres, and I stay on that 3.5 acres or paddle up the river and float down or vice versa, whatever. But if I've got 600, so one of the founders here, Ron Hosts, rest his soul, he had 189 acre cattle ranch down in Greenville, Texas, East Texas. Beautiful. One of our first corporate outings was to his place. 189 acres is a big area. But there's so much to do on that 189 acres that I don't know what 3 houses looked like around him. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so you got 484 football fields, and somebody's going out of their way. You know what I'm saying? I would be like, I don't even. Maybe I met you once when you moved in because I saw the moving thing. So I brought over a casserole and went, oh shit, they're black. Right. I don't know that. Right. And that's what, so I try to look at the context, and the context that I need to look at is not this particular issue, but I would have to go back to see when it infiltrated the law. How it infiltrated the system. We got to go back to the
They
system.
won't do that though. That's why they shut down.
No, they won't. But me as a person, that's what I need to understand and go, how did this, well,
How
right?
did we get here?
Yeah, how did we get here?
Yeah.
And that's and because again, when you talk systemically,
Right.
if it's a brand new thing, well, that's interesting. But if it goes back for ages, decades, century, you know what I mean?
So I think Black Klansman was 80s.
So you're going back decades, 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
And that way you go, so folks in that area have never. Okay. And in some small towns, I mean, they're outside of, what did you say, Colorado Springs?
Yeah.
That's a big ass town, right? So, I mean, or was it that they were pushed out to the country and, hey, you know what? Things have changed here in town. I don't know though. Right. So contextually, how does it work and where does it work? And now, how is this good with this being a national story now? What happens? Is it like everything else in America, Phil, where great, made the headlines, next?
I will say this, and I'll find it for another time, but kind of like how when things happen in Minneapolis now, we're like, it's that station, right? We've seen things happen here before. After seeing Black Klansman, every time I hear something like this, it's in Colorado Springs, I'm like, it's because they never got to the root of it.
Right.
So are they still allowing that same thing to continue to happen?
Yeah.
Because I never thought the Colorado Springs would be like a hotbed for that, but it was like a large chapter.
Well,
it was like a large chapter for the Klan being like in Colorado Springs. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, after you had a national movie, no one's going to investigate the possibility, since we have an entire
based on true story,
box office blockbuster movie
based on a true story,
where the dude can show you his KKK card. Like, imagine me being able to show you members since '86. So it's not like hypothetical.
Card carrying member.
That's right. No one wants to look into this.
Or is it like America does and says, we know it's there and we contain it to that area, and we will allow it in that area because we know that that's there, right? So we will take a look at, and before anybody wants to throw out South Chicago statistics, we know, right? The Chicago police know, here's this territory and here's this territory, right? And if we can contain them to this territory, we'll let them. So I call it the societal zoo. Yeah. Right. Hey, and walking along here is the KKK.
Accurate.
Right.
And there's a series on Netflix, and I think it's called Murder Mountain, but like not the series is called Murder Mountain, but it's like the drugs and how they cultivate it. And they said they kind of have their own laws on that mountain. And if you chose to come up here to purchase whatever and you never made it back down the mountain.
Hey, have you seen Two Guns with
Giselle?
Yeah. Listen, I always think that in some of those movies there's more truth than fiction. Just like what? Right? But it's true.
Right. But like you're saying, they'll know that about Chicago. They'll talk about Chicago, but you won't hear, hey, in Colorado, they have cities like that too. Where when you turn on the block, there's dudes with dirt bikes and four-wheelers with masks on with guns across the shoulder and asking what you're doing.
Well, it's like where I grew up, right? And we've talked about this. You don't know that redlining is a thing. You don't know those things. Gary says, always carry your card. Never leave home without it.
Officer, thank God. Look here, brother.
That's right. So as you look at, and I haven't been back to where I grew up, in Southeast Iowa for many years, so I don't know. But when I grew up there, the inner city and it wasn't. I mean, this is a town about the size of Crystal Lake, right?
Right.
So just the way that it was laid out. Hey, good morning, Nate. Just the way that it was laid out is it is absolutely. Hey, this is where the people of color live, right? And I could see where, hey, you know what? I got a raise down at the factory, and I want to get out. I want to get off of Main Street now, and I want to move to Surrey Lane. And then all of a sudden, I moved to Surrey Lane, and people are like, "Whoa, there goes the neighborhood," right?
Right.
So that's the contextual thing that I look at, and that's what we do. It's the American zoo,
Right.
you know, and of course in this area here you go, and we allow that, right? Because we say, well, if we can keep it contained to there, well, now it's kind of bleeding out, right? So here Sal says the city of Deerfield is what does he say?
Red line.
Red line. That's in our backyard. Yeah, there you go. Right. What's the definition of inner city? Yeah, inner city to me is where I grew up. Right, is the downtown. So it's the old Main Street area. It's where industry was because the railroad ran through there, and this is how this river town. Right, I was on the Mississippi River, so the tracks ran out to the Mississippi to get stuff off the barges, and so you had industry and whatnot around the middle of town. And then so if you can imagine like dropping a rock in a pond, and then the city grew out like the rings,
right?
And the city that grew out like the rings were the snowflakes, right?
Were you guys further out from the rock? Where were you guys in relatively?
Yeah, no, we were on the edge. We were out.
You circled the wagons.
Yeah.
Around.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's keep them here.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. Locations close to the center of the city. Yeah. That's it. And that's the big where the big moneymaker was. Phil, in my hype man, when I watched this show, be a lot cooler if we had a pair of Hey Dudes on, though. He's still gonna get you into Hey Dudes.
He's gonna give me some dudes. Raisin in the Sun by Sidney Poitier.
Oh, is that a song? Is that a song?
It's a
movie.
Yeah.
Okay, but I know he's a good singer too. So, Raisin in the Sun. Okay, I'll make a note of that. So it's a description more for cities who were along trade. Yeah. A lot of times that's especially the further west you go in America. That's how cities kind of, it was here and then expanded out. And then in the late 1800s, 1900s, it was okay. This is you can't get a loan for out here, or you can't get a loan for it. So yeah, there's a lot of yuck going on. Again, talking about that system, right? The system. Now, I want people to understand too that the system, Phil, is not the government, right? Now, here's what I'm saying. It's the way that it's a way that America grew.
Right.
It's a way that listen, you can go back to when Columbus, all right, a Spaniard, landed before he found America, and it was really, I think, in the Central America area, right? Not South America, and they came on the boats, and they took the swords and things and cut themselves, and Columbus's words were, "Oh, these will make good slaves," right? And this is proven. This is history, right? So coming to form this, that was already in the thought from the European world, right? And so you look at that and go, weird,
right?
And so the way that America was built and founded was on the backs of slaves. And you just have to understand that, right? I can't defend it. That's just the way it was. And with that said, it never grew up. It said, okay, appreciate you, but you're still going to be this.
Right.
And it's never changed. That's the system I'm talking about.
Right. Okay, so going with this, and we kind of talked about this with Drew last week, right? And we were talking about how, okay, so we know how Chicago crime in Chicago was founded, right? It really wasn't us, it was, the Italians. Cool. Then we talked about how, do we really think that all of them just went legit, talking about like the mob or whatever, just went legit and just stopped? Unlikely, right? We can't confirm, but unlikely. So do you think that if there's a list of known KKK members who are found to be in these different groups, whether it's police department, CIA, FBI, whatever, it just stopped? They just folded and gave up and no longer want to Klan anymore, lost their passion. One of the things, so if I call you, you're the police officer, and I say, thank God you're here, Kent. This is what happened to my animals. And you see this one. Then you go back and say, oh, well, when the news cameras get here, it wasn't in our notes that the animals were mutilated. You came and investigated the crime scene.
Absolutely.
How wasn't it in your notes? You took them.
And again, this is part of that system. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's look at a different thing. Our good friend Alec Baldwin has been able to walk around for a couple of years after murdering somebody.
Yeah.
Right. And then all of a sudden, when it goes to court, I charged you for a law that was made after you shot somebody. So now it's mistrial. The attorney general said, oh, we're arresting you on this law. Well, that law was made after.
Right.
So now it's a mistrial, and the most you can get is a year and a half. You don't think that the system was, listen, attorney general here, say quick check. What's that for? Oh, your campaign, whatever you want it for. Well, who's that from?
Whatever you need it to.
Yeah, that's the system that I'm talking about, right? And that's the system. So when I say it's systemic, it's the blood that pumps through America, right?
He asked us the question. Yeah. We said it's the motor.
Yeah. So Gary says, so would you say New York? So would New York have an inner city?
A lot of them.
Yeah. But with that too, what's here in America is what we would call gentrification. So the idea is big money, white driven corporations come in and go, we're going to buy this block,
right,
and you're welcome to stay here. We're going to give you a big number, and you're going to say, but this is my home. Okay, we're taking the big number off and we're start bulldozing down your block. And then you're like, wait, and you're like, well, your property value now has gone down. So here's $10 for your property.
Fine, I'll take it.
Yeah, right. And so then what happens is those inner cities start being regentrified or built up for capitalism, right? Which then forces people out. Now, instead of the $250,000 I made when it didn't make sense to you, you now have $30,000. And where do you go? You're like, I
can't afford here no more.
I can't afford this. So now I have to, again, the rock drops and I have to step into that same quote unquote area where I can afford, right? Nate says, my boss's wife is a police officer. I could see if she'd like to join you guys on the show one day.
Yeah, we invite openly.
Yeah, it's always open. And here's what Phil and I will tell you. Please understand, we're not throwing a blanket over every police officer, every politician, everything, right?
Just because we're talking about the Klan, he said,
I see what you did there. We're not doing that because there are very good people, right?
Yes.
But there are very good people too who want to do the right thing. So I show up and I take pictures of the slaughtered animals and I go, here you go, boss. Here it is. And he goes, well, okay, thanks, Jimmy. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, when it comes, I'm like, what do you? You know what? We're just trust me on this one. And if you want to get out of that squad car, Trust me on
Oh,
this.
she want meter maid duty.
You didn't see that.
What pictures?
Right. You understand what I'm saying? So, and that's a good person who now is like, listen, I've gone to the academy. I took the oath. I've done this. I want to make a difference in the world. Or I don't do it in front of you. Thanks, Jimmy. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, have a good one, boss.
Yeah. Go back out there and patrol. Do your thing. What? Right? And that's what happens. So we'd love to. Listen. I would never. And that's why I'm not. I would never want to be a police officer. So difficult. It's so hard in today's world.
Right.
You're not loved. And now everybody's got a phone. So if I start having a conversation with you, people are recording to hopefully catch me in something. Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's not good. The thing that is happening in San Francisco. I don't know what's happening in San Francisco.
You're talking about gentrification.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yes. Yes. A lot. No, but she was just judged by co-workers recently for arresting another officer. Was driving under the influence and well, that's because she broke the code of silence, my friend. Good for her. I love her for that. I absolutely love her for that. Yeah. Hey, here's my badge number. Get your ass, what the, absolutely good for her. That's the type of police that I absolutely love. I love all police.
We can't fast forward that though. Hear what he just said. Now, to imagine sitting here for 3 years and being told body after body after body after body after body after body after body. He broke the law, Phil. He was a thug. Yeah. He deserved what happened.
Yeah.
And here is co-workers of a police officer, which would mean other officers, right?
Yeah.
I'm a little slow sometimes. I mean, other officers.
That would be another officer.
That all of a sudden don't feel that this lawbreaker deserved to get arrested, not killed, arrested for breaking the law. So they feel justified when it's breaking the law and it's taking the life of an African American. But if you break the law and you're, I don't know, but if you break the law and you're a police officer, we can't even arrest you just to get you off the road safely so you don't hurt nobody else.
You didn't get the donuts that morning out there.
You didn't get them. But we're not saying
Susie, no,
we're not saying be fired. We're not saying unpaid leave. We're not saying suspension. We're just saying arrested because you're over the influence or under the influence, over the limit. And we want to get you out the road. Shame on you for just the math ain't math and can't. I don't understand how people who can take a life in the name
using a different, maybe it's abacus or something, not using a calculator. That's why it's not math.
The math is not mathing on that one, bro.
And that's So how hard is it to change? Extremely hard, folks. Extremely hard. If it wasn't hard, we wouldn't be having a show, right? No. Is it fair? Is it just? No. And all we really want to point out is that this 2023 is still freaking going on. How much has it changed?
I can't feel confident that they're going to enforce the rules if they're allowed to bend them.
That's right.
That the power of now, right? Talks about like when you're looking for the offense, and he's like, that'll be like a police chief being an arsonist and then having an investigation to find the arsonist. You're never going to find him because it's him. He's going to lead everything the wrong way.
Yeah.
How in the situation?
Going to look right into it. We're
on top of this.
We're on top of that.
All right. Well, you don't even like your own people for holding you to a standard,
right?
Again, not even punishment. Just like, we got to arrest you to get you off the street.
Listen, Bill, I gave so much to your campaign to get you reelected as sheriff. I scratch your back. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, with what that even, and we're joking about this, but we kind of know this is the thing that happens. I can be drunk. You can be arresting me doing your job. It's over for you, right? The entire department's going to eat you alive if you actually go through with it. So now I'm not even feeling remorseful for what I'm doing. I'm threatening you.
Yeah.
I'm being condescending about this because I know for a fact that you're breaking this wall of silence. They're going to eat you. That's a problem.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, I guarantee it wasn't like a captain or something.
That's a problem.
Anthony. Tony the Kid, how are you? He says, is Harry Styles the new king of pop? There's only one king of pop, but you got to be careful if you're the king. We talked about that last week. You might get Elvis. Never mind. Anywho, I'm putting it out there. I don't know if you want that title, Harry.
It's not safe.
Yeah. So Nate says she tried so hard to help him in other ways, but he kept acting like just because he's a cop that he gets a pass. I'm just glad she's one of the few that will do the right thing. That's what Phil's saying. Hey. Yeah, I'll take this to the cat. Whatever.
Right.
You know, and I imagine in there too, it wasn't Officer Julie. It was you. Beep 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 beep. You know, I know people. Beep 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 beep. You know, and you know, hopefully her chest cam, right, her body cam was on.
Right.
Hopefully, but again, that might have disappeared.
Right, and you know, we're more than welcome and inviting. Is her being on the show going to be a break of the code? To talk about things.
Yeah.
Sincerely, because like Nate, like again, we're all for it, bro. But like, I have military friends who've experienced stuff to be like, and I've asked when can they come on the show, and they're like, I can't talk. I would get not AWOL, but
killed.
But unlawful discharge or for speaking on what they're experiencing on a day-to-day basis. Dishonorable discharge.
And that's where we're at. So, and then we go back to, and we've said it time and time again, is why don't people stand up for this couple with 484 football fields ranch? I mean, I put that because that's a big area, folks.
But if I had the biggest house in Barrington, who wants me to have the biggest house in Barrington?
Right. But a lot of us who live in our safe suburban society says, well, just go talk to the mayor. Good. This again, we're talking system.
Who do you think?
I can go talk to the mayor, and the mayor goes, "Okay, Kent, thanks, bud. We got a guy looking into. Sheriff's looking into it. We're working on it. We know." And then it's on Saturday night. The sheriff, the attorney, the mayor, the this, the that are marching around a fire in their bed sheets, having a good time. You know, and talking about dragons. You know what I mean?
Laughing about it on the golf course.
And so I did. I wasn't silent. I stood up and said, it's not right for them. And I left going, all right, I did my job. I went and talked to the mayor. The mayor said, don't worry, it's taken care of. Okay. And
but if he's in the pocket.
Yeah.
If he's pushing that check underneath the keyboard when you walk, yes. What you want, Ken?
Even if and when I say that, it doesn't mean that he has to be a card carrying member.
No,
it means that he takes that check.
He takes the check. That's all you need.
I got you.
Which is what we were talking about.
Nice.
Do you really feel that third chair
is a nice new F-150 you got there, Phil, on a sheriff's.
Is that that new 2.5-foot lift kit?
Hey,
that Jasper paid for. It looks nice on your truck there, Ken.
That looks good. So it is. It is, and I have too. I've got friends who are law officers. I've talked to attorneys. And it's hard with this type of a show, right? For them to come in with any anonymously, whatever. Membership has its privileges. Well, but that again is how America's made, right? And that's what I'm saying is we as a society over ages and ages and ages and ages have said this is the way it is. Now I can say, well, it wasn't me, Phil, because my grandfather came over to Ellis Island, so I'm literally a second generation,
Right.
guy here, right? My family was from Wales. They were in Wales. And we didn't have slaves. It's not me,
Right.
However, I allow the system to continually be the system. There has to be something. I don't know. I'm not saying a civil war. It can't be. We had one of those.
Yeah.
We had one of those that it is what it is, and that wasn't last week. That wasn't this year. And what's changed? So here's what happens if that happens again. If somebody says, "Well, we need to have a civil war, an uprising," well, we did. Right? I
don't say that word, man. You're gonna conjure them.
Right. I and we're not. I am a. I don't. The only thing I get mad at is my snowblower. And I'll kick it and hit it and whatever, and ruin it because it doesn't start when it should. I'm not a violent man unless it comes to that. And then you shovel and get everything out of the way. But the bottom line is, I don't condone any harm to anybody. I don't condone war. That's just who I am, right? I don't even like watching, TikTok where somebody's on a skateboard and, hits their junk on a railing or something.
What?
I don't like that.
Ridiculousness by Rob?
I can't even watch that.
This idiot. Let's watch it again.
Yeah, I can't do that. So, and I'm putting that out there. So social medias. I mean, we're out in the Twitch universe now, right? So I would love to have some of the people from Twitch saying stuff and sending us, it is what it is, but it's there. It's you, and we can't walk away from it. And to Gary's tongue in cheek, more on American Express, but membership has its privileges.
Yeah, but
that's what we've been talking about.
But we can't say that word. If you say privilege, it shuts down the conversation.
Triggers. It's a trigger.
If I say the word, if I say the word privilege, you're allowed to shut down and not to look for any sort of legitimacy in the things that I'm saying. You heard the word privilege. Let's just shut it down and not get a chance to stop and look at it.
But and again, that's why I do this show. I'm the one-off. I mean, I do have privileges, but you've got privileges that I don't as well.
I can touch the rim.
You can. I don't even know if I can hit the net anymore.
Right?
Moves. Yeah, I do a good robot. Privileged to be able to do that. But I'm not going to get mad and argue against it because, again, I'm very limited. I'm very limited in my experience. Gary and I were talking about that after the last show, and Americans are very limited. Our problems, take it to Chile, take it to anywhere else in the world other than America, and our problems, they're going to look at us and go, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
That's what you're upset about,
right? Hey, over here, there's still mass genocide.
I mean, it's still over here too.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
With paid leave,
right? So if the issue, I think, is that a lot of people, when they hear systemic, they look at White House. They look, you know what I mean?
Right.
They're looking at the system of things, the system of how it works. We can take a look at the Italian mafia, right? When they ran New York, of course, there's no more mafia. But when they ran New York, it was, I showed up, you gave me some of your money so that I didn't send my guys in to rob your store. Right. That was protection, we called it. Right. And that was the system. That was the system. And I could say,
and I knew what days you were coming to collect.
And here's the funny thing. The funny thing is we understand that. And I could say, I don't like this. I'm going to the police. And if I say the mob ran the police, you go, oh yeah, they did. The mob ran the courthouse. Oh yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. The mob ran, right? And we go, oh yeah, they did. But when we talk about when we talk about this particular instant, we go, no, that's not the system.
How?
That's not the system.
Right. Make it make sense.
Yeah. Make it make sense. So we are accepting of certain systems, and we go, the Italian mafia, they did run things that way.
Right.
They absolutely did. But then we say the white cheated people, and we go, no,
didn't happen.
No,
He's
on.
incapable.
It doesn't work that way, Phil. Just come on.
The thing about the movie, have you seen?
I haven't seen it. No.
You'll hear them keep saying the Invisible Empire.
What's the name of the movie?
Black Klansman.
Hey, have you seen Black Klansman the movie?
No.
All right. Saul Suarez, just live studio audience here now. We'll give him a shout out. Yeah, I still want to be on the show, but I work 8 to 4:30. Call in sick, man.
Right. Come on, figure it out.
Show up with your company logo on. Tell them it's free advertising.
All right. I rock my dudes. Get the advertising.
That's
it.
This
thing on. Go on, Nate.
It's all right. Hey, Nate, it's the system. I mean, you're scared. I understand. It's all right, bro.
Scared to figure out the system.
That's all right, buddy. The man's got you working. I see. I got you.
Stay woke, brother. But if they call themselves the Invisible Empire, it's for that reason. When you're saying that there's no more mafia because they used to run things this way, okay. So why is it so hard to believe that this group? Because all of a sudden, you'd have to look at this, take a serious look at this.
So let's say that Phil owns let's say Kent. Kent owns a shoe manufacturing company with 3 stripes on it.
Nice.
And I'm making shoes. And Phil says, hey, I also can create shoes. And I go, hey, those are cool shoes.
You should have yours called All Day I Think About Athletics.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Or,
the sports is taken, but athletics, that's
yeah. Right. and so then Phil says, yeah, I also own shoes. And I'm like, cool, Phil. Let's merge together, and I've got the production and this, that, and the third. It's your shoe, which is fantastic. Your idea, which is fantastic. I'll take 40% of the profit because you're using my facilities, but I'm selling more of my product because I'm using your design and names. Right. Not only that, though, I'm going to go ahead and take some of those designs and put my 3 stripes on them because, well, I did.
I feel like this is a Kanye West conversation.
Oh, is it? I don't know.
This is exactly what happened.
And then Phil does something that I don't like, and I go, well, guess what, Phil? I'm just going to stop letting you use my stuff. Yeah. We're done.
And then you lose.
But I'm going to keep making the shoes that kind of look like yours, but with my 3 stripes on.
Then you lose $1.4 billion over 4 months. But he was crazy for that, though. Remember we talked about that he was crazy for saying, hey, that shoe that you made with the stripes looks just like my concept that I showed you in this folder that you told me you didn't like. And that one and those over there. Don't you owe me a percentage for those shoes that look just like the itch? Yeah. You know what you should do, though, to get away with it?
Now,
you should say that I said some horrible things.
This is what I would say then, too, Phil. And I would go, maybe you should be a comedian.
It's safer.
And that's the system we're talking about, right? Now, you all would go, all right, well, yeah, man, Kent, you got the money, you got the power, right? Well, all right. But that's part of that system that I'm talking about. And we allow that. And we go, well, actually, we had a contract. We just broke the contract. It was this clause way down here. Yeah. You didn't see that? You did sign.
The comedy,
you agreed to my privacy act.
The Comedy Central one, right? Where now the contracts, well, you made too much money.
Yeah.
And now your percentage is too higher than we expected. So we're gonna rechange that before we give you your money. And if you don't like that, we're gonna tell people that you're crazy and you left for Africa. Enjoy your day, Dave Chappelle. Enjoy your day.
We will make you look like an insane man. Thank you. Thank you for playing. We have a lovely parting gift for you. And that's what I want to try to help people understand when we talk about systemic issues. It's not everybody. The system isn't government,
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say, right? The system isn't local government. The system is the underhanded, the envelopes of cash, the don't worry, we got this. Those pictures of slaughtered animals didn't make the report. Do you see it here? I don't see it here. You see it?
Missed that.
The system is, oops, your dash cam glitched. I don't know.
For the 15th time, Officer Jones.
The issue is the body cam I think there was a sunspot or something.
None of us had them today. Here's the picture of 7 of you with cams on.
From a ring
around the crime scene.
Yeah. I don't know. Right. The system is, people grabbing a check. Thank you. And I will make case against you so that it's a mistrial.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about is the system. And until we kind of realize and wake up and say that's systemic, that's what we're talking about. That's how laws have gotten passed for certain things.
Mm-hmm.
That's how, I'm sorry that it looks like his belt got caught on that back bumper and he was drugged for 10 miles. Must be an accident.
Must have been an accident.
This
young lady disappeared at the sleepover. We have no clue where she went.
Don't know.
What was different about her than the other 11 individuals at that sleepover that night?
Yeah. So you have to start going, ooh, yuck. Oh, here it is again. Look at the system's rearing its ugly head. There's no reason why this couple who own a 640-acre ranch, who want to just live their life off grid and be ranchers and love each other and help out. I imagine maybe they're doing free range eggs or meat, or I don't know what you do on it. I don't know. I don't own a
640 acres. You got some opportunity.
You got a lot of opportunity, right? And it isn't like these people. I mean, 640 acres. You do mortgages. It's probably a pretty big mortgage, or you got a lot of money to get 640 acres, right? Yeah. I mean, for real. That's a 484 football fields, people.
That's a town.
That's a town. That's a big area.
Bull Valley.
It's a 1 square mile. It really is, right? So when you look at that and say, whoa, yeah, that's the system.
People make those noises.
I do. I mean, you see my daughter play basketball. She talks to herself through the whole day.
She's hilarious.
She's crazy, right? But yeah, she gets that from me, and I make noises talking. So the idea of us going, hey, Phil, I get it. That's in Colorado. I'm in Illinois. One of the largest chapters of that sheet wearing thing is from Central Illinois.
Well, Christian Lake was a sundown town. How do you think it becomes that? Not because of the good guys who live here.
Right?
And at the same time, if it was known that, like, if I was out and a police officer would tell me, hey, this is a sundown town, that means that officer bought into that system.
Ooh, yeah.
And perpetuates
but
that system.
I'm breaking the system because I'm being nice enough to tell you. That's a lot of people's thought.
Hey, Jay Florida saved our lives. We good.
Hey, I love everybody, Phil. I'm just letting you know. Your ass I better see taillights when
you got 11 minutes.
Okay.
But okay, so the thing that I want to kind of close out with then is that, and taking responsibility for its side, yes, the way that you present yourself is definitely important.
That hour went fast.
Don't perpetuate things that'll make you get, profiled or whatever. However, my baggy pants don't matter if there's a system in place.
That's right.
I could be in baggy pants. I could be in cowboy outfit. It doesn't matter if there's a system in place. That
I could be buying hundreds of head of cattle.
And if it's allowed to get slaughtered on my own property, then my baggy outfit or whatever is not the problem.
And it doesn't look like a grizzly bear did it?
No, poisoned. So
unless
the grizzly bear is a chemist.
Well, there is a bear on cocaine now, or cocaine bears. I mean, a new movie coming out. I don't know.
I saw a pig stole beers from campers and tried to fight an animal.
Right.
That's about it. I don't.
Listen, we can't thank you enough for hanging out with us. Gary over in Singapore says our sundown towns federally illegal.
No, they're locally allowed.
If you were to ask the feds, there's no such thing as a sundown town
or redlining.
Yeah, it's all gone. Listen, for all of us here, the answer is we always want to try to find solutions. There are solutions, but sometimes no matter how hard that you try to find those solutions, the system is going to be the system. It's always going to churn out the same product because that's what we've allowed.
Till we go after the one.
Yeah. So for all of us here at 216net, thanks for getting caught in the net. Thanks for hanging out on the bridge. He's Phil Wallace. I'm Kent Jones. And live studio audience today. Saul Suarez, awesome stuff. Until then, come back at 10:30 for Innovative Strategies with Bill Hasse.
Love you guys.